In recent months, more and more individuals have contacted my office because they've been receiving a document that's known as a request for evidence, RFE in short. And these requests for evidence ask them for information, and many times the requests are very unclear. In fact, it appears that in many of them, the government is simply cut and pasting a bunch of different reasons and throwing it on a piece of paper and asking people to figure out what they want. It's very poor, and in my mind, I don't see some of those documents as being professional in the writing and actually in the presentation. But be that as it may, it's crucial for individuals to respond and to respond on time and to respond adequately. And in this presentation, I want to discuss what happens that causes these RFEs to be issued and how you should deal with them. There are basically three essential reasons individuals receive a request for evidence. The first is that the person who has filed papers has failed to include certain important documents, which are proof, essential proof that they have met the requirements for whatever benefits they're seeking. The second is that the evidence they've submitted, although they may have submitted quite a bit, is insufficient to show that they will meet the requirements to win. Then this is a category in which I think the government has not really been clear and maybe even abusive in a lot of their recent RFEs. And the third is that there's a legal issue, and the government wants to know why this person who has applied meets the legal requirements. And those issues normally will require the assistance of a lawyer to address. But let's go through these three one by one. First, the failure to send important information. It could be something as simple as a birth certificate, but maybe the translation is off. And so they're looking for the translation to show that the birth certificate is this same person. Or it could be that the birth certificate that was filed doesn't have the same spelling as the person's name that they're using now, or that they've reversed the names, or that, and I've seen this, where people come back with a birth certificate where the date's different than what they thought was their birthday, and that causes some problems. Or it could be simply that the government wants proper certification from the government that issued the birth certificate. The same is true, maybe they're questioning a marriage certificate, maybe they're questioning a passport, whether it's new or expired. So those are the types of issues where the government is looking for certain information that seems to be lacking. And some of this information in the first category, which we just noted, falls into also the second category. I've seen where government questions a person that says that they've entered lawfully many years ago, and they want to know, well, where's the document? But sometimes it's that the lawful entry occurred because of the category in which a person's in, and that they fall under a certain section of law, and the person hasn't adequately shown that. They've been told, or they've been helped by, say, someone that's not a lawyer, or a lawyer even, that may not have included the proper proof. And so the government is questioning it. And in that sense, the evidence, though submitted, might be deemed insufficient. Another case may be where someone who's filed the affidavit of support, the financial information is not shown that they meet the requirements to show that they have the requirements, financial requirements, to sponsor an individual for a green card. In some cases, individuals who are immigrants who are seeking permanent residency may already have the 10 years of income, then they can prove it, but the government's challenging them on it. And so that requires perhaps an analysis of that issue. I've also had cases where people have income in another country, and there's an issue about the currency exchange rate. What is the value of the assets that they have in another country that can be used here or that they plan to transfer here? Those are the types of issues where the evidence may be a little more complex, and that's where people start to need legal assistance if they don't already have it to make sure that they clearly answer it. In another situation, and this has been occurring more often in recent months, people are being challenged on when they submit evidence for a waiver, a 601 waiver, a waiver of inadmissibility, because they're applying for a green card. And so they have to show the hardship to the U.S. citizen spouse, but they don't show enough hardship. In that case, definitely legal assistance going to be needed. In fact, I don't think any 601 hardship or 601A hardship application should ever be filed without immigration assistance. Those documents are simply too hard. And in terms of the affidavit of support, which I mentioned a moment ago, with the recent ruling that the new public charge requirements are officially back in play for the Trump administration, this is going to require a lot of work in terms of preparing the information to show that someone is not going to fall under the public charge requirements, which will then disqualify them. The public charge document itself is 19 pages, and it is a brand new law, more or less, and being 6 months old, but it's been tied up in court most of the time. So that is a document that's going to require a lot of assistance, and there's going to be RFEs issued. In fact, prior to the public charge requirement being forced back to court, the government had started to issue some of those. And I assume they're going to restart issuing those. And since they have said that all cases that have been filed from February 24th, 2020 forward will need to meet the public charge requirements, they're probably going to go back into cases that have not where they're not granted permanent residency, and they're probably going to be coming out with requests for evidence on those. And those documents are far too complex for individuals to handle on their own. And then there's the legal issues. Take the temporary protected status program. A lot of fights under it. In some states, like California, the rule is that when someone received TPS, they receive the equivalent of an admission at the border. It's sort of like when someone comes through the checkpoint at the border and they have a passport, they review it, the government reviews it, the Border Patrol officer reviews it, and they allow them to go through. So in some states, that is what a TPS grant is the equivalent of. But in others, it's not. Yet, even in California, every case that I've seen involving TPS, the government has forced individuals who have TPS to show why they should be legally admitted, why they meet one of those special categories of admission. And even though they know the law, they're not going to just assume that. They're going to ask for proof on that. And that's when you have to make the legal argument that under certain cases, there is a legal admission. Of course, given the fact that the government may start to terminate TPS early next year, we're going to have some issues where the government may say that grant is not valid anymore. And that could be a major legal issue that comes up by way of RFE early in a case. But those issues can be contested, and I believe they will be contested. And I believe that the argument in certain states like California will be that no, it's still tantamount to a legal admission. Of course, the periods before an individual got TPS, let's say they arrived in the country in 1999, but they didn't receive TPS to 2001, the government may argue those 2 years they were in an unlawful status, and that could create a different dynamic. So those are the types of issues that come up in requests for evidence. And because of that, because so many of them, although it's only a request for evidence, and they're only asking for evidence right now, it is a mere step away from perhaps leading to a denial or a rejection, or the next possible document, a notice of intent to deny, which takes you one closer to denial. So request for evidence, in sum, shouldn't be feared, because the government's laying out issues that they want to know about and that they may be planning to contest. But they should not be taken lightly. And in most cases, you're going to need legal assistance to respond to the government. Sometimes it may be easy. Just want a birth certificate, you just forgot to put it in the package. But other than that, there's going to be a problem. And you also have to make sure that when you respond, if you respond on your own, that you respond properly, that you respond by the due date, and that you should always keep copies, always keep copies of everything you do, and you should always send it certified mail so you know the government's received it on time. Because if they don't receive it on time, then your application likely going to be denied, and then you got serious problems again. So a request for evidence, do not fear, but also do not take lightly. And I strongly think individuals who receive requests for evidence should seek professional counsel. Even if they think they can handle it on their own, talk to an attorney familiar with these cases and experienced with these cases to make sure you don't overlook anything. Because as I noted a moment ago, you're one step away from a greater challenge. And under this administration, the quality of the RFEs, in terms of the writing, in terms of the clarity, has been absent in so many of the documents that I've read. And oftentimes I wonder, well, who's the government hiring? And then sometimes the arguments are shaped and they quibble over things that to me seems a little childish, a little immature. But they represent the government, and there's a reason that they're challenging it. So despite those types of reservations that I might have, and despite those types of reservations that you might have, don't take it lightly, because everything is on the line. And with that, I just want to encourage you to be very, very careful if you happen to receive a request for evidence, an RFE. Take care and good luck. Thanks for watching. Know someone who might be interested in this video? Then please take a moment to like and share it with them. Also, if you would like more videos on immigration, just click on the subscribe button. And here's a little bonus, a short guide that you can download for free by clicking on the link on the description box or the square-shaped image. Plus, if you have ideas for videos you'd like to see, write a short comment below, or feel free to contact me at carlos@VitaraImmigrationLaw.com. My name is Carlos Vitara. I appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll be talking again very, very soon.